And Mr. President, we're getting GDP numbers on Thursday. How worried should Americans be that we could be in a recession?
We're not going to be in a recession, in my view. The employment rate is still one of the lowest we've had in history. It's in the 3.6 area. We still find ourselves with people investing. My hope is we go from this rapid growth to steady growth. And so we'll see some coming down. But I don't think we're going to, God willing, I don't think we're going to see a recession.
Peter, you're leaving us so soon.
I'm so sorry.
I'll
be back.
So disappointed.
The president said today that we're not going to be in a recession. Why is he so confident of that?
So if you look at the economic indicators, as the president was laying out, if you look at the labor market, those indicators do not show that we are in a recession or even a pre-recession. You can continue to see resilience, and it's consistent with a recession. And even if you look at the state unemployment numbers, and so all of those indicators show us that we're not in a recession or in a pre-recession at this time.
But how confident is that assessment, I guess? Is the president leaving it open for the possibility, or is he adamant that there's not going to be a recession?
Well, I mean, it's not our definition, right? We're talking about a definition from NBER, which has been around since 1920. GDP, the definition used by economists differs. And so, again, NBER, they decide what the definition is.
Following up on what you said about the National Bureau of Economic Research, they also did not declare it a recession in 2008 until December. That's 12 months after the recession had already been in place in the U.S. economy. But based on what the president said earlier, have his economic advisors told him they also don't think a recession is likely? And what is exactly the White House's definition of a recession?
Again, I'm not going to define it from here. I'm just going to leave it to the NBER, as we have stated, of how they define recession.
Okay, so you won't declare one until they have declared it one.
I'm just saying that we're just not going to define it. We use the indicators that the NBER, the National Bureau of Economic Research, have used. We've mentioned that a few times. Historic job creation, and so that is important. And let's not forget about the bipartisan infrastructure law that as well that has helped create jobs.
Okay, I just want to be clear though. So we're not going to hear the White House say if there is a recession that there is one until the National Bureau of Economic Research has declared it one?
What I'm saying is that the definition, that the technical definition, and Secretary Yellen said this yesterday on Meet the Press, is the National Bureau of Economic Research that looks at a broad range of data. And I'm not going to get into a hypothetical right now. We don't do that, but we're using that as clearly an indicator, and they lay out how they get to that definition.
We are seeing a slowing that is not only expected but necessary as we operate through this transition. So that's where our focus is in terms of diagnosing the economy.
Jared, you just described a 33% decline in GDP. That is the definition of a recession, my friend.
Well, the definition is really crossing zero. But I take your point. I mean, I think if people will feel a GDP downshift from 3 to 2%, and that's the median forecast, by the way.
Senator Warren's op-ed today, Jared. Before the Federal Reserve triggers a recession, Mr. Powell should remember that the one medicine in the kit that he has doesn't treat the economic illness that we have. Low unemployment and high inflation are painful, but manufacturing a recession that puts millions of Americans out of work may not even work on high prices.
I guess I would really object to this kind of semantic claim. I mean, the two of them just had a very substantive economic discussion that wasn't about semantics. It was about what's going on with key economic variables. The idea that 2 quarters of negative GDP growth is a technical definition of a recession is wrong.
From some saying 2 quarters of negative growth in a row, that's a recession.
Right, and certainly in terms of the technical definition, it's not a recession. The technical definition considers a much broader spectrum of data points. But in practical terms, what matters to the American people is whether they have a little economic breathing room. Typical working class people in this country have had trouble affording things for years. He is focused on building a strong, durable economic recovery here. That's going to be our focus, and I think that we need to train that focus on that rather than on sort of technical debates about backward-looking data.
Well, and consumer confidence has been fairly dismal. Those numbers have just been flat out bad for a couple months here. Yet, you are making the case the economy is actually pretty resilient and showing some strength in certain areas. So are people's feelings wrong? Are they getting it wrong about what's really happening?
No, absolutely not. Look, these are very uncertain times, and when you go and pull up at the gas station or go into the grocery store and see these highest prices, they not only create hardship, but they create uncertainty for what things are going to be like in the future. That's why we have trained our focus on saying, what can we do practically